Aybek Diaz Nur Mohammed. New economic policy. So let's start. With the end of civil war, there was a crisis in the agriculture of the republic. The acre decreased by more than half, and the yield decreased too. In the livestock industry, the number of all types of livestock has decreased over the years by almost 15 million units, of which 2 million were horses and 6.5 million were small cattle. There was a mass famine, so in 1921 the drought hit Kazakhstan. The harvest in Semipalatinsk and Akhmala provinces, the food detachment took all the bread, not even leaving for food and seeds for families. The harvest of bread amounted only 5 million pounds, and the local population's need for bread was 22 million. The seized products went to the starving proletarian centers of the country, and mass famine began in the country. In November 1921, the number of hungry people was one-third of the population of the republic, more than 1.5 million people. And in March 1922, 2,300,000 people were starving in the region at a terrible time. In the nomadic regions, mortality among the adult population has reached 30%, and in some areas even 75%. Newspapers reported mass cases of cannibalism, eating human corpses and animals, like dogs, cats, rodents, and so on, abductions and murders of children, old men, and women to eat them. The inevitable companion of famine were epidemics, deaths from hunger, as well as mass migration from disaster areas, which caused a sharp decline in the population. There were dissatisfactions. In Kazakhstan, an uprising initially broke out within Novoishimsky district of northern Kazakhstan. The insurgent centers appeared in Kostanay, Akhmala, Oral, and Semipalatinsk provinces in Petropavlovsk.
As a result of the 10th Congress of the CPACU in March 1921, there was transition to a new economic policy that began in March-April 1921. What has NEP led to? What achievements and consequences? In 1925, the acreage approached 3 million hectares in the several traditional grain districts of the Ural, Akhmala, and Semipalatinsk provinces. The level of 1913 was reached. In 1925, 92 million pounds of grain were collected, which turned out to be only slightly less than 1914. The livestock industry was also emerging from the crisis. In 1925, compared with 1922, the number of livestock doubled. To solve the land issue, a land and water reform was carried out in 1921 till 1922, according to which the peasants were returned to the ceded lands. The Koshchi Union, established in 1921, played a major role in attracting workers to the state and economic construction. The first cooperatives, AKS, and collective farms were created. The state assisted to peasantry by allocating loans and loans for the purchase of agriculture, machinery, equipment, and seeds. By 1925, significant progress had been made. The RSFSR restored the industry of Kazakhstan. The priority was for the mining industry and the extraction of non-ferrous metals. The main area of non-ferrous metallurgy was the Altai. In 1925, more than 4,000 such establishments and workshops with 39,000 workers were registered on the territory of the Republic. The overall level of industry production in Kazakhstan by the end of 1925 increased 5-6 times compared to the 1920 and reached about two-thirds of pre-war level. So by 1925 the acreage amounted to almost 3 million hectares. It was possible to restore the pre-war level of the gross grain harvest, and the gross cotton harvest completely exceeded the pre-war one.
By 1926, 128 fairs were operating on the territory of Kazakhstan. The total turnover of fair trade exceeded 20 million rubles. The most famous were the annual Vilskaya, Kundinskaya, Karkinskaya, Temirskaya, Kuchitavskaya, and Basar fairs. Fair trade was of great importance for the Kazakh nomadic population. At the fairs, livestock and livestock products were purchased in exchange for manufacturing metal products, kerosene, matches, salt, etc. Changes in the economy had a significant impact on the overall political life of the region. The youth movement was actively developing in the country. Its organizer in Kazakhstan and Turkestan was Gani Muratbayev. Trade unions and the women's movement have become more active. The Soviets strenuously attacked the population to state building. In the spring of 1922, the Semipalatinsk Gobkom of the party organized a complex expedition Red Caravan to assist local authorities to ensure the execution of the decree of the Tsik and PES, Kaz SSR, and conduct propaganda and agitation. In general, the economic policy made it possible to restore the country's economy in the shortest possible time, to raise the standard of living of population. However, the NEP didn't last long and was abolished in 1925. The NEP has become a kind of tactical maneuver. The new economy policy didn't become a policy seriously and for a long time. primarily because the leaders of the state couldn't combine the course of market reforms and the socialistic system proclaimed by the October Revolution. Economic reforms contradicted the communist doctrine. The Soviet leadership sought to strengthen control of the economy.